What if I told you that one of the most legendary muscle cars in American history has just roared back to life, but this time with a twist no one saw coming? The 2026 Plymouth Hemi Cuda isn't just a throwback, it's a bold reimagining that mixes raw muscle with modern innovation. From the sound of its engine to the technology packed inside, this car is rewriting what we thought a classic could be. But is it a true rebirth of an icon, or just nostalgia in a new shell? Let's find out. The Plymouth name has always carried a certain magic for car enthusiasts, and few models symbolize that magic more than the Hemi Cuda. First unleashed in the early 1970s, it quickly became an icon of raw American performance, loud, unapologetic, and built for one thing: dominating the streets. Fast forward to today, and after decades of silence, the Hemi Cuda makes a return in 2026 with a design that respects its heritage while speaking directly to a new generation of drivers. This isn't just another retro revival. Plymouth, now operating under the Stellantis umbrella, knows that the American muscle car scene is shifting. Electric power, hybrid performance, and tech-driven interiors are reshaping what it means to own a performance car. The Hemi Cuda enters that conversation with bold ambitions, blending its old-school identity with features meant to capture both lifelong enthusiasts and younger buyers who crave something exciting and different. So why does this launch matter? Because in a world where legends often fade away or get watered down, the 2026 Hemi Cuda is positioning itself as proof that muscle cars can evolve without losing their soul. But does it truly deliver on that promise? That's exactly what we're about to uncover. Now let's dive into what makes the 2026 Plymouth Hemi Cuda such a headline grabber. From the moment you see it, the design tells you this isn't a car trying to be subtle. The wide stance, muscular curves, and aggressive front fascia all scream performance. Plymouth clearly wanted to honor the classic shape of the early 70s model, but instead of simply copying the past, they've sharpened the edges, stretched the proportions, and given it a more aerodynamic silhouette. The end result? A car that looks both retro and futuristic, like it belongs in a muscle car museum and on tomorrow's highways at the same time. Slide inside, and the transformation continues. Forget about the bare-bones interiors of old-school muscle. The 2026 Cuda greets you with premium leather, customizable ambient lighting, and a driver-focused cockpit that blends analog attitude with digital convenience. A massive touchscreen dominates the center, but Plymouth wisely kept some physical buttons and knobs for the purists who still want that tactile connection. The cabin is wide and comfortable, with enough space to daily drive. Yet it wraps around you in a way that makes you feel ready for battle every time you grip the steering wheel. But what about under the hood? Here's where things get really interesting. Plymouth has managed to keep the Hemi name alive while introducing modern efficiency. Depending on the trim, you'll see a range of powertrains, from a naturally aspirated V8 that roars like thunder to a hybrid-assisted setup that adds instant torque while keeping emissions in check. The top-end performance figures are jaw-dropping, pushing well over 700 horsepower. That means 0 to 60 in just under 3 seconds, placing it right in the middle of today's high-performance battlefield against cars like the Dodge Charger EV and Ford Mustang Dark Horse. And it's not just about raw speed. The suspension has been tuned for balance, giving you track-ready handling without beating you up on city streets. Plymouth also loaded the Cuda with adaptive drive modes, so one button press transforms it from a comfortable cruiser to a full-blown street machine. The brakes are massive. The exhaust note is customizable. And yes, the Hemi growl is still alive and kicking. Of course, no car is perfect. The hybrid option adds weight, and purists might argue it dilutes the soul of a true muscle car. Fuel economy is still far from efficient compared to family sedans, and with all the technology inside, some might miss the raw simplicity of the old days. But then again, that's exactly the balance Plymouth is trying to strike, honoring tradition while staying relevant in 2026 and beyond. And just wait until we talk about pricing, because that's where things get really surprising. But before we get there, let's break down the standout. Highlights and a few drawbacks that could make or break the 2026 Hemi Cuda's comeback story. This is the moment we've been building toward, the real world test that shows whether the 2026 Plymouth Hemi Cuda is just a nostalgia piece or a genuine game changer. The first time you slam the accelerator, the response is instant and ferocious. The rear tires bite down, the engine roars with that unmistakable Hemi growl, and in less than 3 seconds, you're past 60. It doesn't just accelerate, it launches, pinning you to the seat in a way that makes you forget every doubt about whether a classic muscle car can survive in the modern era. But the real surprise comes in the corners. Traditionally, muscle cars have been straight-line warriors, not track stars. Yet the new Cuda feels planted and composed, hugging curves with the kind of confidence that makes you want to push harder. The adaptive suspension and precise steering turn what should be a brute into a balanced performer, capable of tackling tight bends without losing its wild personality. It's a side of the Hemi Cuda that nobody saw coming, and it changes the whole conversation about what this car really is. Of course, the drama isn't just about speed. Inside the cabin, you're surrounded by modern refinement, but the rumble beneath reminds you of the heritage you're sitting on. Every detail, from the digital cluster flashing performance data to the exhaust crackle on downshifts, feels designed to stir emotion. So, has Plymouth actually pulled it off? Have they managed to honor the legacy of one of the most legendary muscle cars ever while delivering something competitive in today's performance market? Based on this drive, the answer leans heavily toward yes. But as with any icon reborn, the final word depends on more than just numbers. And that's exactly what we'll uncover in the verdict. So after putting the 2026 Plymouth Hemi Cuda through its paces, what's the final verdict? Simply put, this is a comeback that manages to feel both respectful of history and bold enough for the future. The pros are clear: jaw-dropping power, an unmistakable design that honors its roots, a surprisingly refined interior, and handling that finally puts the old stereotype of straight-line-only muscle cars to rest. For enthusiasts, this isn't just a car. It's a statement that American muscle can still evolve without losing its identity. But we can't ignore the drawbacks. The hybrid system adds weight, which some purists will never forgive. Fuel economy still lags behind modern performance sedans, and the price, depending on trim, will place it out of reach for casual buyers. This isn't the everyman's car Plymouth once offered. It's a specialty machine designed for those who want heritage mixed with headline-grabbing performance. So who is it for? If you're a longtime fan who remembers the golden age of muscle cars, this new Hemi Cuda offers a chance to relive that feeling with modern-day comfort and safety. If you're a younger buyer looking for something unique that stands apart from the wave of electrified performance cars, the Cuda delivers raw emotion in a market that often feels too sanitized. And in terms of impact, this launch proves something bigger, that muscle cars still have a place in America's automotive future. As regulations push brands toward electrification, Plymouth has shown that heritage and innovation don't have to be enemies. They can coexist, and when done right, they can create something truly exciting. The question now is simple. Is the 2026 Plymouth Hemi Cuda the last great stand of the muscle car era? Or the spark that keeps the flame alive for years to come? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. This car has put Plymouth back on the map in a way no one can ignore.